A tax is a compulsory levy imposed by a state in terms of collecting revenue either from individuals or companies, which depends on goods and services and the number of goods and services they produce. It is either done directly or indirectly, which is why citizens are compelled to pay tax directly or indirectly. Those directly are being paid by producers and the indirect tax is being paid by consumers. The main source of government revenue is from tax, and the government collects tax to ensure that services are provided, and equally we have balance and objective development across the entire nations of Cameroon. That is why the Cameroon government find it very essential in order to collect taxes. The tax system of every nation varies depending on their socio-economic and political activities. The government of Cameroon, however, needs to be appreciated for the difficulties encountered most often to collect taxes from some stubborn businessmen and women across the nation. However, the recently announced phone tax in Cameroon is raising a lot of questions as to the objectivity of the tax to be collected by Cameroon's government. The new phone tax system announced by Cameroon's Minister of Posts and Telecommunication, subjecting 33% of tax to be paid by the phone user, is a question that is raising many questions to Cameroonians as to whether it is the role of the consumer to ensure that they provide or they pay their taxes, or it is a role of custom officers to collect these taxes at the level of importation, and equally those being assembled within Cameroon's authority. The president of Cameroon has it as a principle to fully digitalize the economy and to ensure that Cameroon is fully digitalized come 2035 with a plan of emergence. As this plan comes into being, many Cameroonians are now focused on digitalization and e-learning with coronavirus that has shaped the way in which education is being done. The education now in Cameroon has been tailored towards e-learning in what many has captioned the ubiquitous system of learning, which is a hybrid method both on and offline. With the way in which the world is going, many students are tempted to move online. But with this phone tax system, it raises a question whether the parents will be able to buy a phone for their children and still pay the 33% of the tax which is to be paid according to Cameroon's Minister of Posts and Telecommunication. And another issue that most of them are raising is that the phones being sold to many in Cameroon, most of the time are not the original version of the phone. And if they are to go by the 33%, which look at the mark of the phone, what holds the faith that those who don't buy this original version of the phone will still have to pay the normal mode in which they are to be paid? That's the 33%. Lots of these questions keep coming, and the Cameroon's government has it as an explanation that the reason for the phone tax is because many bypass the customs at the level of the maritime, at the level of the airport, and at the level of land, that they don't pay custom duties to these phones, and there is a need for these phones to pay their duties, and thus the consumer has it as that sole responsibility. Another question many now tend to ask based on that explanation is that what becomes the role of custom officers? Is it that all of the custom officers need to be fired, or is it that they are not doing their job, or is it that the government has given them a favor or a green light for them to allow phones to move into the country undocumented, because the common man will definitely pay for the phones? These are questions that many are asking. But as we look into the collection of tax system, the Cameroon's Minister of Posts and Telecommunication tweeted that nothing has really changed. The finance law stipulates that telephones as well as digital tablets will henceforth be subjected to a telephone levy as part of the custom fee. What has been done for this purpose is to dematerialize the tax by setting up a digital mechanism. Cameroon's Post and Telecommunication Minister posted Libong Minette, which by essence states that we must pay our phone tax in order to ensure that we use this phone. And the system is kind of complex. However, we encourage the need for every Cameroonian to pay their tax regardless of the form and means. But we cannot erode or wipe out the fact of Adam Smith's canon of tax, which states that every good tax system must have 5 principles, which is certainty, economy, flexibility, convenience, and above all, it must be flexible in such a way that those paying their taxes should pay it genuinely. By equity, it means that if you are using a phone, you should pay that tax depending on the amount you pay or amount you bought the phone that the Cameroon government has taken into consideration. Certainty means that you should be certain in way in which you pay your tax. That Cameroon government says they will pay in installment. Flexibility, we all know that flexibility depends on how good you are or how financially viable you are at a point in time. How flexible will this phone tax be? That is a question based on Adam Smith canons. And now economy means that the tax collected should be able to be used in such a way that it would develop the nation from a positive perspective. And that is what we are limping in the dark. And the second part of today's program, we shall be looking at the recent released ENAM's result. 2 weeks on, last week we talked about the issue and we are revisiting the issue. 2 weeks on with the unbalanced result of ENAM, Cameroon's elites, especially those from the north and southwest region, are muted as far as the result is concerned. Their lips is sealed and many are not talking about the unbalanced nature of the result. What lies the fate of Anglophone as far as these issues are concerned? This is House of Commons with me, Tamai Javis. You're welcome back from that break. If you are just joining us, you're watching House of Commons, and it comes up every 12 at exactly 12 o'clock on Sunday, where we bring to you pertinent issues surrounding our country, especially Cameroon as a whole. Today, we are looking at the aspect of the recently announced telephone tax. Joining us here in the studio, I begin by introducing you. He is the Deputy Communication Secretary at the Cameroon's People Renaissance Movement, but here talking the capacity as a citizen of Cameroon. ELVIS, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much. It's my pleasure making present here today. And greetings to His Royal Majesty Dr. Fomuki Walters, the Royal Majesty of Gunoko Village, as usual, and to all the people from Gunoko Village, Mbemi Village, Barakwe, and of course in Bengue Central Subdivision, and all the thousands of televiewers who are watching us right away. In a special move, we say greetings to Super Life family. It's my pleasure being here today.
Thank you very much, ELVIS. We want to equally welcome. He is a Pan-African. He is someone who believes in the fact that African continent must come together as one and develop the country in such a way that our culture should be exported to the whites and not the whites' culture should be exported to Cameroon and Africans as a whole. And he says that cultural imperialism must be stamped out and we must ensure diversity in our specificity as far as Africa is concerned. He is stating that they will be recently organizing something big in Africa, in Cameroon, to promote African heritage. He is no other person than Professor Mark. Professor Mark, you're welcome to the program. It's a privilege to have you here.
Thank you, Javis. Good morning to you and to my fellow panelists and to the million viewers out there watching at us this very beautiful Sunday morning. I want to believe that this is another day talking about Cameroon and issues concerning Africans precisely. And you know, considering the fact that in Cameroon at a period when it seems as if things are very unstable, where our government chooses to come up with issues that will be contradictory and which will allow a lot of people to talk, I think we need to be able to clear the air so as to be able to inform people on what to do when things like this come up.
Thank you very much. Civil society activists and ensure that things are supposed to be interpreted to the common man from a way that he or she understands. Because if the society missed it, the government will not be able to put any policy as far as development and security is concerned. Derrick, welcome.
Thank you very much, my Javis. Thank you for inviting me to this edition of the program. It's a privilege to be here with the Kangaroo Man and Professor Mc Antony. Greetings to the Comedy Republic of Cameroon and its leaders. It's another day we've come to share on how we can grow this country together.
You take responsibility of that is a state of law and you call it the Comedy Republic.
You don't need me to force. Cameroon is a country where you laugh without any payment. You know, you go for night comedies, you pay to laugh, but in Cameroon we laugh for free.
Thank you for joining us. These are the gentlemen and men that we will be looking at on today's edition of our program. I begin with you, ELVIS TAYONG. We are looking at the issue of phone tax. First of all, where did we get this from?
First thing first, the question is good. Where did we get this from? When you have group of persons whose ideas have expired, when you have groups of persons who don't have focus in the name of leaders, when you have groups of persons who now act without thinking because they think that they are all knowing in the name of leaders, these are the consequences of a kangaroo system we are harvesting the feedbacks. How did we get to this point? That since phones have been in Cameroon for decades, it is today some persons daydreaming where they are got over now and talk about phone loss, phone tax. These are the kind of people we're talking about. When I said that when a kangaroo system is confused because of the deeds, God punishes them and takes wisdom away from them. Because of this now, they act in ultra-virus manner. So come to think of it. If you look as per the excuse that those 40 persons in Yaoundé are saying, phones are entering the country illegally and all the like and all the like. Whose duty is it to ensure that phones get to Cameroon through the right source? I am afraid these comedians in Yaoundé have decided to show another form of comedy. Because if you have customs and you allow your borders to be porous, who do you blame? Therefore, the person who purchases a phone should be the one to pay the prices of getting an illegal phone in the country. As
you just said something. Let me read you the words of Cameroon's Minister of Post and Telecommunication, because she's saying that nothing has really changed. The finance law stipulates that telephones as well as digital tablets will henceforth be subject to a telephone levy as part of the custom fee. What has been done for this purpose is to dematerialize this tax by setting up a digital mechanism.
Minister, you have lied. Minister, I say you have lied. Many things have changed. Did that law talk about 33% before? Since I was born in this country, we are getting 33% coming up and down. What triggered the 33%? Minister, review your statements. Because these are the kind of things we sit here and people here only think that we are fools. I say
the state
minister has lied.
A finance law, but the state
what I say has lied. You cannot say nothing has changed. The 33% we're talking about here, was it what was in the finance law, the 33%? If so, what has stopped them from echoing this 33% along is not to the funds enter Cameroon? You know that. So why is it coming only now? When the state is dry and needs a means to squeeze money from the population, they should say they need money. Let them not be rigmaroling and thinking that the people that govern are fools. Mr. Minister, the people that govern are no longer fools as you think. If nothing has changed, if this so-called tax law is coming back now, whereas this thing had been in the law along, had been enacted in law in the constitution along, why is it surfacing but now?
They will tell you that the reason is simply because at the point in time there was no need to enforce these laws. But now looking at the too much entry of phones and looking at the data of phones,
and that's why we say that. That's why we say that no matter the excuse the minister gives, the minister should convince us that the state is checking on illegality, not that nothing has changed. Things have changed. If not, Cameroonians are receiving the law as being strange, as very strange to them. Are you telling me that with the litanies of barristers that we have along, this law has been existing and it is now they are discovering the law today? It means that if the minister is telling us that nothing has changed, it means somebody somewhere was hiding this law for reasons best known to the person and only decided to resurface the law but now. So I think that ministers should be honest in this country. Tell us that the country is dry. You have carried on war in the northwest southwest by the state in the name of maintaining peace, and it is costing more. There is Boko Haram in the far north, it is costing more. The issue of the incursion from Central African Republic is costing more. And then with the political instability in the country, it's costing more. And so the state is using more finance to combat these things when the normal finance methods that was even the Northwest Southwest is no longer there. You will bear with me that the every judge are the ones feeding Northwest and Southwest. If every judge are feeding Northwest and Southwest, whether the state pretends or not, the fact that you are not collecting the billions you used to collect in the North and Southwest because of the crisis means that budget has triggered. Javis, if you take 10 billion and you remove 10 francs or 5 francs from it, it will no longer be 10 billion. So the state with the arrogance in Yaoundé will tell you that they are equal to the tax. But they should know that because regular taxes are not being collected in these two areas, because of a senseless war and because of a bad political and administrative measures put in place by arrogant persons in Yaoundé, the consequences are coming up. And instead of being honest with us that where we need money to fight Boko Haram, let us pity them and say, okay, no, it's true. Increasing 50% of the tax on phone, we'll understand. They come back to tell us that nothing has changed. Mr. Minister, many things have changed.
Okay, thank you very much, Fire Evans. Will be coming back to you. I come now to you, Professor Mark. Looking at this, as far as the minister states that nothing has really changed as far as this tax system is concerned.
I might not be an expert of the law of tax. This particular taxation law, I might not be an expert, but I remember this particular law. It was in the 2019 tax law. I just rest and heard about the 33% aspect of it because I did not know anything about it. But I want to say we are not even here talking about when it came into existence and why is it supposed to be brought up now. What interests most of us is the fact that in a time when Cameroonians are actually suffering an acute crisis, that is when the Cameroon government thinks it should punish the people more. Because we are already suffering from the COVID-19 issue, which has crumbled the economy of the nation. And secondly, nothing has been working based on the crisis that is in the northwest and the southwest region of Cameroon. And it has dried people's pockets, and not only dried people's pockets, it has rendered a lot of people to be IDPs like some of us. And at the same moment, the Cameroon government thinks it is time to institute, should I use a law that will actually punish consumers rather than actually taxing the right persons who are importing the phones into Cameroon. That particular tax law is supposed to be a law that is supposed to be inflicted upon importers of phones in Cameroon, not consumers of phone. And so when the Cameroon government decides that Cameroonians, who are the consumers, the ones that are actually using their money to buy the phone, to pay again for the customer tax, then that is a crime. That is a crime against the citizens of Cameroon. It implies that, like I always say, we have a group of persons who are leading us, but who do not care about us. This tax law is not supposed to be targeting the consumer. The consumer is not the person who brings this law in, who brings the phones into the country. So if the Minister of Post and Telecommunications says that this law had been and nothing has changed, has it been written before that it is the consumer who pays the tax? I don't think that if a person, an importer, is importing tax or something, it should be the consumer who pays for it, who pays for the importation tax. I can't go to buy something from Europe and I'm bringing it to Cameroon and I'm coming to sell it, and those who are to buy from me are the ones who are going to pay the tax law, the tax for importation. That already is something wrong. And question, if they say they are struggling to actually thwart the entrance of illegal phones into Cameroon, is it the consumer who is bringing it in? Where has the custom of this nation gone to? Have they not Can't they develop another strategy on how to track down these phones? And secondly, questions we should be able to ask our government is this: why should it be 33%? Why should it be 33%? If you buy a phone, let's say out of 100%, somebody is bringing in something, you are paying 33%. That is too much tax to actually stop and prevent entrepreneurship in the nation. And those are some of the things that causes a lot of Cameroon citizens to start posing questions. Is this government really genuine? Do they really want the nation to excel? Are they struggling to kill the entrepreneur, or what are they struggling to do? But in this case, now we discover they are no more targeting by the entrepreneur, they are targeting the consumer.
The government says that many of these phones that has entered into the country entered illegally, and most of the times they don't pay the taxes. Now I put it to you: does it mean that the custom officers now should just allow people now to enter with their phones directly now, because they know that the consumers will pay the price? It means you just need to see a custom officer and you just give him a small token and you pass, and you tell him don't bother, the consumers will pay.
But I think that is the reason why they are doing this. They actually, it seems as if they want to open the borders free for people to bring in more phones so that Cameroonian citizens can suffer for it and pay. But that is the worst, wrong step to take. If on actual basis they actually want to promote the economy of the nation, they are supposed to levy the tax to the person importing the phone. And if you say that phones have entered into the nation illegally, whose responsibility is it? Is it the responsibility of the citizen who is going to buy the phone to use, or is it the responsibility of the custom? I think it is the responsibility of the custom. The custom has the right to see into it that no phone enters into this nation illegally. And so if phones have entered into Cameroon illegally, then it is not the consumer who is supposed to be punished. It is these custom workers who are supposed to be punished. I am speaking like this because when I followed the expansion and the communication that came from one of those working in taxation and one of those working in the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, we discovered that according to their discussion, part of the finances that used to come in through this tax had actually fallen.
Yes.
It has come down to where Cameroon government is receiving barely 5 billion, I think. Was it 5 billion? Instead of the previous amount. And so as a result of that, I think you should correct me if I'm wrong, and as a result of that, they are now struggling to get their money. Question: if you want to get your money, are you supposed to put it on the citizens? No, that is a wrong step that the Cameroon government is taking, and that is a situation that calls for the resignation of the Minister of Communication. She should resign. Yes, she should resign for taking a step against the citizen. Don't forget.
Professor Mark, I read it to you again. Maybe as I read to 5, I read it to you so for clarity, so that the Cameroonian people following the program can understand before coming to the other member of the panel. He said, the Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Minette Libon, said, nothing has really changed. The finance law stipulates that telephones as well as digital tablets will henceforth be subjected to a telephone levy as part of the custom fee, underlined with custom fee. What has been done for this purpose is to dematerialize this tax by setting up a digital mechanism.
I just heard what you said. Underline the word custom fee. Who is the one to pay the custom fee? Is it the consumer or the importer?
But the state has just employed to be a custom officer. That's the promotion.
If I am supposed to be a custom officer, then that's good, but not me paying. Because I'm the one to go and buy the phone. And if I'm buying the phone, then it means I'm the one to pay. Because that tax will come on me. that is enough reason why that minister should resign. I am speaking because, let me be sincere, in a proper nation, in a nation where things function correctly.
What do you mean by proper nation? Is Cameroon not proper?
I just made the statement, in a nation where things function correctly, because in this case, things are not functioning correctly.
So, in
a nation where things function correctly, it should be clear that this minister, who has made a serious mistake and error in struggling to punish those who have given him, who are feeding him, should resign. Because I will be sincere to tell you, he is in power because we went and gave our sovereign power to the president who has appointed him. I beg your pardon. And as a result of that, she can no longer serve us. So we don't expect her to be a minister in this nation anymore. So we expect her to resign. Let her go and sign a resignation letter and give Mr. President, because she is making a mistake.
Thank you.
She cannot leave Cameroon.
Thank you very much, Professor Mark. We'll be coming back to you. I think, Derrick, we are looking at this from a different context. You are of a civil society. What are the people saying? What are the common man saying? When you move around the street, how is the society welcoming this aspect that every Cameroonian now has been baptized or rebranded to become a custom officer by enforcing a 33% of a phone tax?
A part of those who work for the system, no normal human being should accept this stealing by strict method that the government is imposing on us. We will not pay the price because of the porosity of the system. We will not be taxed to pay for what we have not done and for errors that is committed by a system in place. The people who control the 4 cardinal points of this country is the government. And if funds can come in illegally, I don't think I should be punished for the crimes of the government. So it becomes pathetic to think that different people are committing fallacy and different persons are paying for the fallacy of the government. You know, when we talk of consumer protection, consumer protectionism, a situation where consumers are protected, maybe not to get goods bought at very high prices or to get illegal goods and the likes. It is the government's responsibility. And so the civil society has nothing to do but to stand against it. Unfortunately, we are in a system where everybody can only speak from social media and nobody can come out. But for the few individuals who are bold enough, they are standing their grounds. And so I seize this opportunity to tell Cameroonians that we have been raped of our rights. We have been raped of our enjoyments by a system. People who sit in their air-conditioned offices and take laws that favor them. The law actually is to be for the citizens, for the good of the citizens. But Cameroon laws favor only the lawmakers. In fact, I have listened to several TV debates where I would have expected these lawmakers to make tour around the television stations in this country to explain to us, just maybe, some of us from the civil society, we do not understand the raison d'etre of the tax. They should explain to us. Nobody seems to be there to explain. All of them have gone back to their cocoons because they know that even if they are to pay the tax, majority already have accumulated money in bank accounts that they can easily pay. What of the local man? What of the common man in the street? What of the man who kept you in that position? So we live in a country where the leaders don't just care. Instead of the leaders to be afraid of the citizens are afraid of the leaders. That is the comedy republic we live in.
What do you mean by the leaders don't care? Because the government I think I want to understand this song, Derrick. You are not just a civil society, you are an economist. And this main source of government revenue is from tax. And every government, for them to provide services to the community, adequate services, and ensure regional development and regional balance, they must be able to collect tax and money to do this. And this tax must come from Cameroonian citizens. And when you say that they don't care, does it mean that the government should not follow developmental issues because they have no means to collect tax?
One of the sources of government revenue is tax.
I'm thinking the main.
And it's a main source. At the beginning and during your introduction, you made it very clearly that a good tax system should be flexible, should be certain, should be efficient. How flexible is this system that the government has imputed? When you are taxing a product, in the case of tax, you should look at the elasticity of that product. Now, if you check the demand of phones, the demand of phone, the way consumers get phone, we are becoming too used to phones that even if the prices of the phones increases, consumers will still buy.
Maybe that's the reason why the government
consumers will still buy.
Regulate the import.
And because consumers, we live in a world now where it's difficult to see a person without a phone. And because it's difficult to see a person without a phone, the world has become digitalized. It's become a global village. And we all do with the phones. So if the price of this phone is increased, whether affecting directly the manufacturer, these taxes will be shifted to the consumer, where the incidence of the tax will lie on the head of the consumer. How far or how much effort is the government making to protect us? Now, when you talk of taxation, when I receive a salary, and in the salary, there is what they call return at source salary. I'm taxed for during payment. There is deduction, which is paid to taxation. There is deduction paid to social insurance fund. And then I go to buy a phone. The company has been taxed. And then the value of the phone, I'm to pay 33%. Again, direct tax. The incident lies directly on the consumer.
That's why the government is saying that.
How rational is that?
That's why the government is saying that these companies, these stores should pay the tax so they just come and buy a registered phone.
That is why we Mr. Thai has said and Prof has repeated. Should we be penalized because of the porosity of a comedy republic?
I'm coming back.
Should we be penalized because the errors are committed by the government officials, because they are the ones who control the custom officials? And so if the system is porous, I should not pay for their porosity. They should find a means to solve the problem.
Okay. ELVIS, TAYONG, coming back to you on this. ELVIS, there is a question that a viewer sent from Bamenda. I think I want to cue you in from that question before moving to the other side of the program that we have. This Clinton from Bamenda says, good day to you all in the studio. I would like to know if after this law, all phones will now be imported for free and consumers will pay the 33% tax, or the custom officers will collect part of the tax at the border and the remaining percentage paid by consumers?
That's a very good question. Normally, in the first place, the phones cannot be imported for free because the intention of the government is to make money through the importations of phones.
But if the government says you pay the 33%, it's a favor that just come with it for free.
Yes, if the government says I should pay 33%, then it means they should no longer be putting custom duties on the phones. It's just Allah comes in and then we buy and then they debit us. But generally, it's a poor tax system at the level of its implication, at the level of its implementation. You see, the main issue with the tax issue here is that people want to transfer responsibilities onto other persons. The state is not taking into consideration that you have a young custom officer who leaves school today. After 1 year, he's building a story building. You are not checking how he makes the money. His salary is about 85,000 to 90,000. The next day, he's riding a car that's costing 60 million. The state is not looking at the situation whereby a custom officer leaves ENAM, and the next day, he is bribing to be at the autonomous port in Douala, and he does not want to go to Furawa, nor does he want to go to Messager, but he wants to go to areas where it's lucrative, because he has what it takes to go and loan money from somewhere, goes and give to somebody for his transfer to be maintained where he can recover the money within a given period of time. You see the consequences of a corrupt regime from all aspects. So, I said, if the minister talks about digitalizing a system, I said the minister is supposed to resign. Because some of them give authorization without understanding what it means. If you say the intention of this tax system with the 3% is because you want to digitalize the system, you are digitalizing the system. Why can't you digitalize the entry of systems into the country? You are only interested in digitalizing a system that will penalize people who are using phones that have not been paid custom duty. It means that you have employed all Cameroonians to start checking phones with custom duties. Have you paid them for that assignment? You can see how I say that when a government is irresponsible, it is responsible from all.
Maybe that's collective governance.
Now, when is the collective governance? The question is, there are people who are held, who are responsible. We call them tax bearers for that, and they are paid for that job. That's why they go to school. Why are tax officials leaving ENAM? If not, close ENAM. If you want all of us to help you collect the taxes, ENAM should not function, or the tax division of ENAM should be cancelled. So I now know that I am a tax officer, Prof is tax officer, my brother is tax officer, all of us become tax officer. We will help you check it. But now that the government, because of their corrupt system and inability to deliver the goods, and refusing to accept that the football match is above them, now look at the consequences. Then the minister tells you that if they want to digitalize, in a digitalized system, once an illegal goods gets to the country, you know. As it enters, you know. And when you are putting your SIM card, even as the minister says, digitalizing, once the phone indicates that that phone has not been registered or the tax has not been paid, you could, if you have a good system, you could call me to order. Tell Elvis, where did you buy your phone? I'll tell you I bought it at this place. I'll take you to the area where I bought the place. The sub dealer will tell you, no, I'm not the one who had this phone. I bought it from A or B. That is why there are investigative units in the country. Police is there, private security are there. What's their job? The salary they are receiving, let them come and play a role of this investigation. That as I put my SIM card indicate, you are not supposed to deduce my credit for my phone. That you have to penalize me to pay. No. You simply, as it dictates, you could even block the phone because they have what it takes. With the icon that you have there, you block the phone. For me to unblock the phone, I can decide to go back to the person that this phone you sold to me has not paid this issue. Either you refund the money or you take the phone and see what you can do. The person can now go now at the end of it for the phone to be unblocked. They can now pay. That is what called digitalization. Now, at the end of it, for anybody who buys that kind of phone and the phone has been unblocked, with this mechanism now, the person is forced to go now and pay his taxes. So he unblocks the phone and begin to use it. 5. President Biya has it as objective to make Cameroon become emergent by 2035. Digital economy, the president says we must embrace digital economy. And with the advent of coronavirus pandemic and other issues around the country, e-learning has been encouraged. We saw where teachers were giving lessons on TV and students were asked to follow through their phones. With this 33% now, will parents be able to meet up with digitalized economy and equally the e-learning with the students from secondary school and universities, taking into consideration that some of the phones are not the original phones, but you have to pay per the original phone, because if you are using Samsung and if the mark is Samsung, you have to pay the 33% of the Samsung, which net worth maybe 150,000, but you bought the phone 60,000. Let me tell Yaoundé something. So are we putting a policy that's contrary to Yaoundé policy? Yaoundé is the most confused government on earth. When they started the story of e-learning during coronavirus, I laughed. Because these ministers sit in air conditions, they only pass their mouth like river birds. As if things are moving when they are not moving. Do you even know that even during the period of e-learning, network was epileptic. At the same time, you had epileptic flow of electricity. That alone was already a problem. Yaoundé, you people go and sleep, leave that power, just go home. In fact, look for a continent and go there where is Caribbean, all of you. After that, these are the persons who say that school is resuming. Because of coronavirus, most of the schools will still carry on e-learning, distance learning, using phones. You want e-learning to go on. At the same time, you want people to pay for phones that have not regulated registration because they enter illegally. You want people, you have individuals to pay. At the same time, you want e-learning to go on. Just imagine, you are imposing 33%, which will reduce the number of people that are supposed to get phones. You are reducing the number of people that are supposed to get phones. At the same time, you are insisting that people should go through e-learning. At the same time, when your internet is epileptic, At the same time, when your electricity flow today is like this, the next day is that way. The other people in Boya, around Boya town, we're writing the other day. The other time we had people around the other former GC board area. They were also writing the Stampede. They were also writing. You come to Douala. Sometimes areas in Daido, they don't have light. Every night it is static. So at the end of it, see, this thing, we're just talking like that. Yaoundé is confused. Yaoundé should pack their bags and go. This country, they need to redo this country.
Baninko say government is for the people, by the people, and of the people.
And when the government is
government,
it's not even for the people. It has expired.
The question is, what have you done? Don't ask what the nation has done.
What I have done is to educate them on what to do. But as I'm educating them, what happens? They are so recastant that they look at our advice as falling on deaf ears because the regime barrows think they know too much. Their heads are empty as of now.
Okay, thank you very much. I come to you, Professor Mark. Professor Mark, we've seen cases. You're a Pan-Africanist. And in an African context, when you go for a journey, coming back, you must bring gifts to your loved ones. All those who are out there, when they want to come, they bring phones. They buy phones to their loved ones and they give. It means that if you buy phones to your loved one, as a viewer puts it, from abroad, it means you have to pay for the phone tax. You are buying a gift and still come and pay for the gift.
JAVIS, politicians who claim monopoly of knowledge and wisdom leads the nation through shortcuts to chaos. It is very, very easy to take Cameroonians into complete chaos by taking decisions which are out of order, by taking decisions which are not favorable to the very people whom have given them opportunity to have jobs of leading. I'll be sincere to tell you, a lot of these ministers in Cameroon and those even that have been elected into office do not understand the source of their power. They at times are looking at the president as their patron, their boss. But the true boss of these ministers, the president, is the sovereign people of Cameroon. And the sovereign people of Cameroon, by virtue of a social contract, gave part of their authority, of their powers, to the president, whom in turn appointed these guys to lead, in assisting him to lead the people to where he wants them to go. Implying that if he as an individual and his entire team are found wanting by the Cameroonian citizens, then it is time for Cameroonians to tell them that leave the power. Because at this particular moment as we are talking, everything has proven that these guys do not have Cameroonians in heart. You can't claim that somebody who is coming, maybe he's coming into Cameroon, he brings 1 or 2, 3 phones. As they always do, he needs to come and pay custom duties for it. Okay, let's even accept that there is a custom duty, which is not a problem to pay. We expect that that should be done. And if in case the phones enter the nation and you do not pay, who are you supposed to blame? Is it the person who entered with the phone? Or you are supposed to blame the people who are in charge of making sure things like that don't enter without being paid? So, you see that some people are struggling to take their blame and put on the citizens.
But the head of state is struggling to digitalize the system. But the ministers are doing the contrary. Who is
the head of state and who are the ministers?
No, the minister, is it that some people are using it for their benefit or they want to water down the effort of the head of state?
This law is not a hidden law. I believe that every law that is actually promulgated into execution in Cameroon goes through the parliament for they need to pass it through the parliament. And so it means that even those who are sitting in there as parliamentarians are supposed to take part of this blame. They have been elected to make sure that they look into things like this. But they go there and promote irresponsible laws which do not have the capacity to help Cameroonians.
Okay.
They are there to make laws for the nation. if they can sit down and make a law that demands that the same people who elected them into office pay for a customary tax, a custom tax, which they are not the ones importing things, then that particular parliament needs to be dissolved.
Okay.
Not only that, anybody who is around that particular tax needs to pay for it.
But the parliamentarians are not saying anything as far as this is concerned. These are people you voted to be in office.
That is where I am coming to. That is where I am coming
to be calling the shots, Professor.
I just heard of recent.
There was a parliamentarian.
Yes, I heard of recent. Not just a lady, Noran and Kabal Libri. The two of them, Noran, yes. I think the PCR and the parliamentarians, they are actually saying that this thing, they have to dissolve it. I heard that from Kabal Libri.
Yes.
That in the next sitting, they need to talk about this issue. And that law needs to be dissolved. That is exactly what I expected from every parliamentarian. Because you can't make a law that is going to be punishing the citizens. I am not importing phones. I am not a phone dealer. So you don't expect me to go buy a phone and then I pay for custom duties. Okay. That is very terrible. I am not a businessman in that dimension. And such things, we should not take them lying down. That is proof enough that the government in place has a problem.
You are from the Southwest region.
Practical.
You are from Ikona.
Yes.
But we have not seen any of your elected officials in Boya. All of your MPs are lips good. What's happening?
You see, this is why I'm saying that people like that needs to be removed from power. Because they have shown that they do not have the people at heart. And we are certain that if you are going to elect somebody, you are not electing the person for the big book. You are not electing the person for the money. You elect people because you want them to serve the nation. And once they prove that they are unable to serve the nation, we are waiting for them in the next election. Certainly, they will not be voted. And for those who have been given the opportunity to lead as ministers, it is a duty for a minister who has flunked his opportunity to resign. And once you resign, we will have you in heart because we will believe that you are out to actually serve the nation. So my interest stands on the fact that these people are not working for the Cameroonian people. Okay. And as long as they are not working for the Cameroonian people, they are not capable to lead. And so they should not take that position. They are not leaders.
Okay.
So they should be removed from power.
Professor, this one read, Professor Mark is saying that the BI regime should leave power. Was he not the one who asked people not to go out when come to call for people to protest? They are out of power. This one is coming from an anonymous sender. This other one reads, it says, hi Javis, happy Sunday, greetings to the Kangaroo Man, Professor Mark, Mr. Song, nice program, thanks for educating us. It's Esther from Yaoundé. This other one reads, it says, please, when you send us your text message, indicate where you are texting us from so that we can properly acknowledge you. This one says, good day, good afternoon to the House of Commons. Our leaders are not serious. The tax levy on phone is to enrich the minister and her collaborators. We are finished. It's coming from Mezu Leonard in Yaoundé. This other one reads, it says, most of these government officials do not want the crisis to stop. Each time the government trying to solve the crisis, but officials fuel it by coming up with something that will provoke the youths to go out on the street. The most criminal people in this country is in the government. Is some government officials. This is coming from James from Limbe. This other one read, it says, good afternoon to my humble panelists. I really love this program. The government is clearly showing us that they have failed in all aspects. Last time it was cutlass registration. Now it's phone tax. The common man suffers. I wish to ask how the government will know the price of the different phones. Do they have a template for the prices? It's coming from Voodoo from Bonaberry. This other one reads, actually we are seeing that the government is really confused. But the question now is, will they collect the taxes of phones from those who are buying? Then what is our gain? If they will collect the tax from us, what is our gain? This other one reads, I'm Clinton from Manfred, so I want to ask what the poor people will I want to ask that we the poor people will not use phone. I come now to those of you sending us via WhatsApp. This one says, best regard to you all in the studio. The situation of phone tax is really uncalled for. If custom officers are paid with taxpayers' money to ensure that they collect revenue, then turn around to levy the responsibility to citizens, consumers on mobile phone. It is not fair. I suggest the salary and allowance paid to custom officers should be reduced to 33%. Also, it's coming for ELVIS. that was part of my next question that I was supposed to. I don't know whether he read my mind, but let me come to something. This is a mathematical question that is to I want to address this to you before coming to the issue of reduction from the custom officers. This one, it says, this is coming from an anonymous sender. It says, think of this: a phone that costs 60,000, the 33% will be 19,800. A total amount of the phone with 60,000 plus 19,800 will give you 79,800. Just read the analysis. Meaning that if you are buying a phone for 60,000, you have to pay 19,800 as phone tax. Now, when you pay the 19,800, you add to that 60,000, means in total you bought that phone 79,800 francs.
Similarly, if you were to buy a phone for 100,000 francs, you pay 33,000, and the cost would be 133,000. So the consumer is suffering the pinch. You know, the government that leads Cameroonian, they have expired. It's an expired government, because the decisions that come from them, we don't know if they really think before they take some certain decisions. Because with all honesty, decisions by the government should take into consideration the common man. Because if we take the standards of living in Cameroon, in a country where the president is preaching digitalization, and then at the same time inflicting a higher incidence on the payment of what can cost better digitalization, we ask ourselves, is this government serious? Are we sure in no distant time we will not be asked to pay SIM cards taxes, charger battery taxes, and charger taxes? So it's Cameroon government and the system in place is playing with time bomb. Because at a particular time when Cameroonians will become tired and fed up of the system, it's going to be sporadic. And they should go back to their notebooks and revise. Because Nigerians, just our neighbors here, they started with NSAS. And the government switched to SWAT. They have gone to NSWAT. And presently, it's taking a political undertone.
Now we're hearing Buhari should step down.
It's taking a political undertone. Cameroon is at a crossroad, waiting for the slightest scratch of a match to catch fire. So if the Cameroon government is serious and they don't want to add another crisis on other crises, they should go back to the parliament, sit on that round table, and let these our silent parliamentarians that we vote to represent us talk. Because we cannot vote you to represent us, and then you go to Yaoundé, you fold your arms and take millions of francs and sit and watch while laws are voted. Because the same money you have been given by the government. We have not been given money. We don't work with the government. We don't have bank accounts piled to pay heavy taxes. Get serious, please. Okay. This system should stop making us laugh. We are tired of laughing. Because if a system is moved by those who cannot move, nothing can move.
Okay. Haita, my JAVIS, and the team, if you have a knife and spoon now, hide it as well. You will soon be taxed for that. This nation crisis is not only no-so. This is a national crisis, not only no-so. I am Pankefik Yav in Babesi. This other one read, it says, the government is just confused. They are out to finish a population of Cameroon, not looking at souls which have been lost which have been lost. That's what wicked government can be. Is coming from Johnson in Bamenda. This other one read, it says, good afternoon to you guys in the studio. In my modest opinion, I see this phone tax wahala. What obtains when an individual buys a diplomatic vehicle. You pay all the custom duties and that were exonerated at the time the car entered the country. We should not forget that the tax was voted by our presumed representative in parliament. I am Tumi Gilbert in Yaoundé. Tumi Gilbert is affirming that the law in 2019 was voted by the people we voted in parliament. Good afternoon in the studio. I am Matuke Sunday from Mutengene. The government is just confused because they are inflicting more pain on us, North and Southwest region. God deliver us. This other one read, it says, good afternoon. My name is Cham Sidwain from Kuwait. I see the government increase in crisis on its citizens because things are not equal with them. I think this other one reads, it says, the other one from Professor Mari, it was sent by PK from Canada, who says that he asked Bia to not come to people not to move out, but you say Bia should resign. How possible is that? This other one reads, say, good afternoon. Yes, briefly.
It is simple. Politicians do use the blood of innocent people to make gains. I am not against people going to the street to march. It is their constitutional right to do so. But not when it is called by a particular politician.
Okay.
People have the right to go out on the street.
But not under the banner of
under a political banner. What is happening presently in Nigeria has nothing to do
with the political party. Thank you.
That is the kind of match we are talking about. Not that somebody will come and say people should go to the street. That's for his gain.
I think PK misunderstood you, and at the end of the day, he will definitely understand when he gets you privately. Good afternoon, Mr. Javis. Special greetings to Mr. Tayong. The problem with us Cameroonians is a lack of a united voice to stand up against the Yaoundé regime. Today, Professor Mark is raising against phone tax. But a few weeks back, he was completely against Kamto's call for protest. The divide and rule system is what keeps the regime unchallenged. Louis Font from the United Kingdom in Bahrain. People from diaspora seems to be coming back to your word, Professor Mark. I'm happy you cleared that up. Thanks for the program. This is Goddy from Tico. Tell me a 33% for phone tax that has not paid their tax, or for all. It's for those who have not paid their tax for new phones. It's Chungang Franklin writing from Douala. I think it's time for the youth to stand up and to take power in this country. Seriously, the country is completely sick. This one say, thanks, PK, Professor Mark has got your message. Fight Tayong. Briefly, we have 1 minute each on this, so that we'll move to part 2 of this program, which is the issue of ENAM as elite as state leaves sealed. Fight Elvis Tayong. Is it not time for us to for the government to reduce 33% of the salaries of all custom officers, since we are now going to do their job?
Well, if wishes were horses, beggars will ride. It's a mere wish, and the kangaroo system I know will never work on that. I would just simply plead with save our energy, because the government understands the mafia in the custom sector. Most of those who get into the custom sector, many of them have bought their ways. Those who have not bought their ways are relatives to those in power. So with that mechanism, there's no way Yaoundé can sit and say punish custom officers on that. Else they'll be punishing their relatives. Else they'll be punishing those who bought themselves their way before getting to the custom. So at the end of it, the only worry I have is that even the kangaroo parliamentarians and senators, they are my friends. All of them have gone to Kamatos. The ones I call is automatic. I'm in a meeting. I'll call you later. These are people, I heard people said who were voted by who?
They were voted by the constitution, by the people, the constituents.
You know, a parliamentarian and a senator, if it was voted by the people, is of now. Those who were voted by the people are defending the people. Those who work their way through the investiture committees of their party and all the like, and use their monies to go through, are the ones who have nothing in terms of accountability to give to the people in their constituency. So at the end of it, those people are making money for their stomach. Parliament or Senate, In fact, those houses are no event.
Okay, briefly, Professor Mark, we have to move to part 2 of the program briefly. We are looking at this context now. Where do we go from here from this phone tax issue? Is it just a normal phone tax talk, or we need to charge our parliamentarians to do the right thing?
In the first place, they should dismiss ARINTECH. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what it is all about. It should be dismissed. Then secondly, as I said, if these parliamentarians cannot sit on that law and reverse it in favor of the citizens, then let the entire house be dissolved. And if the president, who is the one who actually signed and enacted that law, does not go back to revisit the law, it means that he himself has disqualified himself from being the president of the people of Cameroon. He is there because of the people of Cameroon and not for himself. And so, unless the people leadership comes back into play, we are seeing that what they are doing now is not for the people, it's against the people. And for those of you who think that I stood against people going out on the street, no, I didn't start against people going out on the street. I stood against people going out on the street on the call of a political leader. I think that in relation to politics, if a leader wants to take position to sit as the president of a nation, he needs to go through the ballot box. It is the people's right to decide whether they should go out on the streets, not that of a political leader. Many politicians have used the blood of innocent people to make their money. And so it is time for us to be wise and not to be fooled. So I am not against you going to the streets, but I'm against the call that came to DERICK last time. That's what I spoke of. So you should not misunderstand me. So those are my own words, Mr. JAVIS. It is simple. If the Cameroon government wants to solve this problem, I will say it as I said it last time, that I'm seeing that the Cameroon government is making an error.
Okay.
And planning to push Cameroonians to the street by being able to make laws that are against the people. If they want to put a law, let them put a law to increase the price, the tax on beer. Okay. That will help, because beer is one of those things that is actually causing Cameroonians to go to sleep. Thank you. So let tax be put on beer.
That is let's come song. Where do we go from here briefly?
I think where we should go from here is that the Yaoundé government should go back to the drawing board. The cost of the Anglophone crisis was a simple lawyers and teachers demand. And because of delay, it was arrested by some other person. So if the government has to give an opportunity for Cameroonians to go on the street, #end phone taxes, it may be overtaken by politics. And that will not be good news for this country. Because if you love this country, you will listen to the voice of the people. Okay. We are tired of working little money and spending more because of a system that has decided to steal from us, to take from us, always take and never giving.
Thank you.
Yaoundé, we are tired.
Greetings to
End
you.
phone tax.
Greetings to you all, the panelists. It sounds so childish that the phone tax should be paid by consumers. Why not the dealers? This is double tax system. It's coming from Taza Felix in Kumba. This other one read, it says, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you all in the studio. Thanks for educating us. The government is indirectly asking for a civil war. I'm Brandon from Bamenda. This other one read, it says, good afternoon, panelists. I am Luis from Boya. I think the phone tax is just a means of the Bias regime to get money. How on earth can they ask 33% of phone tax? Honestly, all what the government is doing now is only to make youth alternative means of having their phones, and all we lead to no result. This other one read, it says, good afternoon to you in the studio. I think, good afternoon. I am Chair. Good afternoon. I am Chair from Santa. May God help us. We are tired of this country. God will help us, Chair. This other one read, it says, good afternoon to you in the studio. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday to you in the studio. The government, our monitoring minister, they are monitoring citizens. Someone saying it is aimed at monetary citizens. This one, when we buy the diplomatic cars, okay, already this is a double message coming in again. And this other one, it says, good day to you all in the studio. I just want to know for how long will this phone tax be? I'm sure it should be as other laws. We are finished in this country. The government is confused. I am seeing this is a scam from the government to its citizens. I just hope the voice of the panel ahead is coming with Sakwe Moses in Limbe. Because of time constraint, we move now to part 2 of the program. And part 2 of the program, we are revisiting the recently released ENAM results. The recently released ENAM result is unbalanced, with Cameroonians crying left and right. The north and southwest region has 4%. The Grand North region, be the Adamawa, the Adamawa, and the other north region has 10%, whereas the center south has 76%. Our elites, who have been championing the cause for national unity and integration, one and indivisible Cameroon, and have been fighting very hard for effective school resumption in the north and southwest region, so far have maintained sealed lips as far as this unbalanced result is concerned. Where are we heading to? It means that within the next 1 year, we may not have Anglophones within the magistracy system or the tax system. If we have just 4%, does it mean that Yaoundé and other regions will take charge and Anglophone will still remain marginalized? This is House of Commons. We'll come back for part 2. With very firm instruction from the people of Cameroon, we start part 2 of this program, which is taking us on balanced ENAM result. I begin with you, Fire ELVIS TAYONG. This is 2 weeks, Fire ELVIS TAYONG. We've seen effort, which we applaud, of effective school resumption. We've seen effort, which we applaud, of reconstruction. But now, when it comes to the ENAM saga, many people are maintaining sealed lips, well, because the percentage is 4, which means that if you have to look at the total, we should be talking about 2 people per north and southwest, or 2, or which may not give us the result we need. And we are talking about regional balance. Who is pulling the string, and why are our elite lips sealed?
The worst thing that has happened to Anglophones, Southern Cameroonians, former British Cameroon, the worst and the worst that has happened to us is the name of elites. If I tell you that we are talking about elites, they are never supposed to be into play. These elites are at the forefront of our problems. The other day we were on platform here and people were praising one politician in Boya. Yam done, yam not done. This is the only man, the sister who is this and that, this and that. I said, we push people those stories. The very position that people were praising on air here is the one who would have been at the forefront categorizing such issues. Do you now see that the kangaroo system in Yaoundé has been carefully made in a way that they use these very elites, thieves, as I put them in quotes, to drain us, take us, mortgage us with the Yaoundé regime, and they sell us while they make their cold cash. This is what has happened. Because I cannot understand. 2 weeks running, a so-called parliamentarian, a so-called senator, Northwest, Southwest, none of them have coughed. This is a sacrilege. I am not surprised because I had never endorsed any of those persons. I, for one. These are simply people who took advantage of situations. They took advantage of the ongoing crisis. Even men of who had there. Some would have even managed to be there, could not be there because of they had that fear factor. You have others, people are mayor, that they would have never been mayor if things were normal. So at the end of it, most of them are simply opportunists. That's why I said the other day, when I saw media people on air that day, there's a politician who went to Canberra, he has done what the whole left undone. I asked these people, our reasoning faculty, have we mortgaged it to the devil?
But they were praising the effort of effective resumption of schools.
Did you look at what was surrounding the circumstances? I go to advocate for back to school. At the same time, I am using party politics behind. What has CPDM and Petit Politique has to do in a slogan when you are advocating for back to school? It is a political agenda. If somebody tells that any elite in the Northwest Southwest loves back to school is a lie. I say it here now and clear. They don't love back to school. They are only working on an agenda. So Yaoundé should praise them for doing a good job and give them more opportunities to loot money and make personal gains in their evil endeavors.
If we go by this recent release ENAM result, it means that in the next 1 year from the batch that will be graduating, we may not have Anglophones in the entire territory.
Are you even expecting to be in the system?
To be there.
Even the so-called elites who are there, look at the positions they have. They are simply bootlickers. Look at them who are there.
No, but we have the Minister of Territorial Administration.
I said, look at them.
We have the Minister of Territorial Administration occupying a key position. We have the Minister of Secondary Education occupying a key position. We have the Prime Minister occupying a key position. We have the Grand Chancellor occupying the key position. We have the General Manager of CDC. We have top officials occupying the position. We have Port Tasson. We have. So can we say what do you mean by the leakers?
Those positions you call key positions are not key positions as per se, based on their modus operandi. You would bear with me that these positions you have called, for them to take actions, somebody needs to validate their actions. There is no independent ministerial positions, especially for English speaking, but there is for French speaking.
Are you saying the Colas decree by Minister Paul Atanganji came from above?
The Colas itself could have come from within, because it is not a decree that holds water. But any decree that has to hold water must be validated from somebody who calls a shot from somewhere. I'm sorry to say that. So when we see, and Yaoundé deceives us that we have strategic positions, ask them who are wearing the shoes. They will tell you the shoes they are wearing is a hot shoes. Because most of the times, they go through tin and tons to get particular decisions go through. That's why we say that in the system where it is, I don't know how some people reason. Whether you are territorial, whether you are prime ministerial or all the like, the fact that you are functioning now does not mean that it simply means that you would have functioned more if the system was an aggregate system in administration. So when you find them functioning now, they will not tell you the hurdles they go through for reasons best known to the system. But I want to let you know that the most annoying part here, the most annoying and disturbing, is the fact that 2 weeks running, ENAM scandals comes out, 4% for Northwest Southwest, and no political elite is making a comment to show his satisfaction. It is to tell you that we don't have elite. All those people you find there in Yaoundé, I am elite, I am CPD MDs, I am parliamentarian, and the mayor of this area. The system has caged all of them. They are working their money, pretend that they are working for us. As far as I am concerned, I don't have parliamentarian. As far as concerned, I don't have a senator. They could be senator for some people. As far as I'm concerned, there is nothing that a senator parliamentarian has done for me, because this is where I needed him.
Okay.
And I did not see him. They are mute. They speak with us one-on-one at the background. They show the dissatisfaction. But what stopped them from coming on air like this? Because they have scarecrows in their cupboards and they are scared to put some sand in their galley. Okay. Therefore, senators and parliamentarians will Northwest Southwest. These people don't represent. In fact, pack your bags and go to Ngelemanduka.
People are asking every government officials to resign. So
once you cannot deliver the goods, pack and go home. Any senator Northwest Southwest, I am sorry to tell you that. The other time we had Senator Okemende, those are the few guys we could. Senator Okemende, Henry. Because I have seen him come out several times, but 1 in 1,000. Okay. How does he go?
Professor Mark,
they are wasting state budget for no good reason. But senators, parliamentarians, you can no longer deceive us. You don't represent us. I have to tell you that.
I will be coming back to you, Professor Mark. 2 weeks. I think we were here when we talked about ENAM last 2 weeks. Still no news from our elite. We have the light of, there are lots of people we have in Fako division, we have a lot in Meme, we have a lot in Bamenda, we have a lot in Ngokitunja, but nobody seems to be raising a finger or complain about the unbalanced nature of the ENAM result. Is there something wrong somewhere?
How do you expect the finger, the hands that fit, let's say, for people to bite the finger that fits them? You don't expect that most of these guys should bite the fingers that fit them. Practically speaking, we do not have any senator or any mayor in the Northwest or Southwest who was officially elected by the people of Northwest and Southwest. considering the fact that the
Are
moment
you
of
saying that
election,
those people?
just listen to me come up. Considering the fact that during the moments of the election, most of the voters of the Northwest and Southwest do not participate because some of them are in Nigeria, some are in the bushes, and some were in the Littoral and Yaoundé and other places. And so practically, they found their way into the parliament without necessarily being elected by the people. And so they do not represent the people. And that is the reason why things like that will happen and none of them will open their mouth to speak. I can't eat the poison or drink the poison of any politician because a politician is a politician. A politician is an equivalent to a liar. Most of what we practice in Cameroon in the name of politics does not in any way empower us. So when we talk about elites who are not talking, we do not have elites in the government of Cameroon. We have persons who have been put into power to favor the government, not the people of the Northwest and the Southwest per se. And so in such a case, the true elites are those who are fighting for the goods of the people. But do we have such people in the government? I will practically say no. We do not have such people in the government of Cameroon who are fighting for the good of the people. And so when a situation like that happens, we expected meritocracy to be the only method through which people are selected to enter into national institutions. But from what the government brought up in the name of a policy called regional balance, which then is supposed to be used as the medium to bring in persons into these national institutions, we see in a time like this, when even the people of the Northwest and Southwest, the people of Southern Cameroons, are actually crying foul that there is marginalization. At the same time, the same people who claim that there is need for national unity step out and they prove to them, the people of the Northwest and Southwest, that they are practically throwing water on the deck's back. I don't imagine that in a nation, practically 2 regions, we are talking of 4% for 2 regions. We are not talking for 1 region. These 2 regions, if we want to divide it, we'll say it's 2%. Maybe one is even 1%,
Yeah, 1%.
And the other is 2. So at the end of the day, you discover that this idea of marginalization is real. And the government is doing nothing to help it. Last time I called and I said here on this same platform that if the Cameroon government does not react to that particular result, it will mean that they have endorsed tribalism and regionalism. And if they have endorsed tribalism, it means that the law that was enacted against tribalism should be used against them. And particularly the director of that particular ENAM,
Who was 2 years
out of school.
And
Such an individual should not only be punished, he should be, first of all, he should resign from being a director of that institution, and secondly, he should be judged by the law of tribalism.
But you are asking everybody to resign. Does it mean that if somebody does a mistake, a simple mistake,
once you do a mistake that is so pronounced like that kind of mistake,
but the Bible
you are not fit to lead.
We have to give you a second chance.
No, not second chance to misdirect us, because we are talking of leadership. Listen, there are 2 things that we are looking into consideration: policy and leadership. Policies are able to be adjusted and shifted, but what we are looking at is credence when it comes to leadership. And so the question is, do we have leaders who have credence? Do we have leaders whom we can trust in? Such a young man who has been opportune to show the opportunity to show the youth that, okay, we can do it, to show these old minds that we can do it, has chosen to take a part of the struggle.
Okay.
And as a result of that, he is supposed to either resign or he should be judged.
Okay.
If the Cameroon government accepts the result, because I can't imagine that 12 persons are taken from one family.
Thank you.
And not only that, 2 regions represent 76%,
Center South.
while the other 8 regions represent just about 24%.
Thank you.
Is Cameroon Central South? So that is a thing that we need to be able to deal with, and we cannot accept such a thing. That's why we must talk against it.
Okay.
If those who we call elites have gone quiet, then there must be new elites, which I think you and I we are. So we should talk against this issue,
Professor
so that the
Mark,
Cameroonians can realize that those people sitting in power are not working for their good.
Thank you, Professor Mark. Some Derrick, let me come to you. We are looking at this ENAM saga. You are of a civil society. I see Professor Mark was really.
These guys are making us angry all the time. You want to be very careful.
Make you want to enjoy it.
Now the events will give us high blood for no good reason. People sit there and acting as if they have come from the space. Even if from two times, will not rule this country like that.
Let's continue.
Let's continue, sir.
So Derrick, this unbalanced ENAM result. Some people are saying that, like Professor Mark rightly puts it, that we were to base on meritocracy. But if we were to go by meritocracy, it means that some regions would still be more dominant. And now we've gone by the normal issue of regional balance, which is still not the case. Doesn't mean that the Center South has the most intelligent people in Cameroon of 76%. And the Grand North alone, the three Grand North regions, they just have just 10%. And why those from Center South 76%? So you put all together, we are talking about that the entire region, a part of the Center South, should be able to have less than 30%.
Like we say, and like I always tell you, is that Cameroon is a comedy republic. It's made up of comedians. And that's why sometimes I think these TV debates are unnecessary, because we have talked, and Yaoundé seem to copy notes and never go back for revision. That's a sad story about them. You know, in a country and at a time like this, where we are fighting for effective decentralization and regional balance, and then results from the most so-called termed respected institution, administrative institution of the country, produces biased result, clean and clear, in blue, in black and white. And then those we think should have spoken are sealed-lipped by crumbs from the master's table. We have nothing to say but to think that these people are self-elected and think more of their bellies and are more of politicians than politicians or parliamentarians. It's funny that two regions carry 76% of administrative offices or of position in an administrative school. Why the underdog remaining 8 regions carry 24%? And the 24% is not equitably distributed, even at the point where an empty blank sheet of paper, so-called special status, has been given to people who are giving 4%.
Maybe that is our own special.
How rational is that? How special is that for special status? So this government is not serious. And when we talk and criticize the government, something we are not patriots. It's a lie. Lies telling is not patriotism. So Yaoundé should stop telling us lies and think that they are more patriotic than us.
Every day we keep saying Yaoundé, but there is effective decentralization. Huh?
Where is the decentralization? This is decorative decentralization. Same as those who sit in the parliament to represent us, most of them are flower bed decorations. People do not, they represent their bellies, because when they enter there, their sums of money are given, they forget about the common man. Let's be sincere, JAVIS. I followed a video with, I don't know, it was a minister or a governor in Nigeria, building houses in Bakassi.
That's the governor of Cross River.
Yes, building houses in Bakassi, because of a pain he just saw that the people were going through. He builds houses and gives them the key. That's somebody that, whether that money is stolen, at least there's an impact.
Yep.
We have Cameroonians, government officials, who steal money and don't invest in this country.
But we have
they
houses in
invest
14 now.
in foreign countries.
We have our own houses too in my 14. When you are going to my 14, we have well, I just want us to be real. We have our own houses.
I don't know how real. I don't know how how real
Talk
you want us to be real. We want
investing back in their area.
when Cameroon, JAVIS, when Cameroon played, there was a football match Cameroon played against Nigeria. I think it was in Oyo State. It was played in a stadium that was built by the governor. And it was a celebrated game. In Cameroon, everything is done by the government, and all the forums that the government are supposed to do are forums of embezzlement because there is no accountability. Everybody controls his sphere of influence.
So are you saying those who are because of embezzlement, not because they were
most prisoners of Kondenge are political prisoners. Mark me, they are political prisoners.
Okay.
There are people who have either tried to threaten and then they are silenced. Because if you have a government where all officials who have worked and are about retire in Kondenge, it means the system is sick. The system is porous. And that is why you and I, we know the cost price of ENAM. Before ENAM is written, results already known. In fact, young Cameroonians, even the ones who believe in their IQs, their intelligent quotient, refuse to write ENAM because you think to go through is going to be like going through a needle's eye in this country. We are tired of the system, JAVIS, and allow us say it the way it is and stop sugarcoating it.
Okay, I'm not sugarcoating, but Cameroon is a state of law, as Minister Paul Atanganji has always put it there. Take this message. He says, I am very happy to be part of this program today. I am Luis Boya. I just want to share with you guys what a military personnel who drove me from Limbe to Boya. His name I could not get. He said, Anglophones are stingy and cannot pay for a post in the government. He went ahead to say exams merit does not work in Cameroon. He hold enough money and get into any ministry. So the 4% we even talk about in some of the children, some of the children of senators, elite of Cameroon. This other one we say, hi, JAVIS, let's give a second chance to what is killing Cameroon and Africa as a whole. PK, we got your message. This other read says, if the head of state wants a digital economy, let's start by digitalizing elections. So all elections in this country should be free and fair. It's coming from Clinton in Bamenda. This other one reads, it says, good afternoon in the house. I am enjoying the way Mr. Fai talk, especially to the kangaroo system of government we have concerning the ENAM result. It is a pity for North and Southwest. They are like orphans and strangers in their own country. Even the elite for they have learned corruption within the French system. This one will say, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is John from Kumba. We don't expect any word from North and Southwest so-called elite. They are just there for CPDM and the government. This other read, it says, good afternoon, House of Commons. I enjoy the program. The way Mr. Bryce speaks, especially the kind of system, is coming from Edwin in Kongsamba. Edwin from Kongsamba. This other read, it says, good afternoon. Crew on board, Dr. Bedoff, I am just baffled with the laws put in place in this country. I ask myself, have these decision makers analyzed the consequences of this particular law on the tax paid on phones? Did they consult the economists in the present dispensation where the economy is digital and where COVID-19 is ravaging the society, creating a platform for online learning? Conclusively, this law should be null and void, and strict control measures should be implemented at the level of custom duties if the government wants to raise revenue. Thank you. This other one reads, it says, good afternoon to you on the studio. Nice program. Please keep it up. This other one reads, gracious from Besingu Douala. Let those old people with their old ideas think of how to push them out. This other one reads, it says, good afternoon to you guys. God bless you. Please don't, their messages should not be offensive. Good afternoon. In the studio, the government good afternoon. In the studio, the government is confused. They are out to furnish their pocket. already gotten. Good afternoon, the panel of my media prime. I am not happy when you people use the name elite. Anglophone do not have elite in Yaoundé, rather call them slaves. Please avoid those words now. When we go back to history, people like Kwame Nkrumah and Nnamdi Azikiwe, who call them African elite, we saw how they were. I like to say that these people are the number one enemy of the Anglophones. I will tell you that if Anglophone crisis is still ongoing today, it's because of some of the so-called elites, which I may not call here. I am A.P. Kingsley in Douala. This is the good afternoon. We know all countries are not perfect, but copy from our neighbor in Nigeria, when something is not good, they protest, but most of our protests are on social media and not physical. But we can protest when it's freedom of protest in the quarter. This other one is coming from Black from Boya. Because of time constraint, may not be able to read all of your SMS, your messages. Be rest assured that subsequently next edition we'll be able to read your messages. I come back to you, Fire Elvis TAYONG, briefly. We are slowly but surely coming to an end of this program. Fire Elvis TAYONG, the entire center side has 76%. Does it mean that that's the only place where the most intelligent people in Cameroon are from? Or is someone using the head of state name and the name of the wife to pull the string?
Yeah, let me just come shortly, because some people will say they are using the name of the head of state and the wife to do things, but I don't agree with that. If somebody is using my name and my stamp and going scot-free when I'm alive, and when I'm kicking, it means that I am allowing it to happen. If not, I don't think with the consequences people know. It's abnormal that I take Mc Antony's signature, he is alive, and I'm using it to do dirty deeds, when I know that if he discovers it, I will be in trouble. So if I'm impersonating in the signatures and every deal, saying Professor Mark sent me when he did not send me, it means that Professor Mark is aware of what I am doing. So that's what I'm saying. But at the end of it, while wrapping up with this special program, I am so sad because I did not see the CPD member here. And so I don't know why they have started escaping from platforms. Tell CPD members to meet us on platforms. We need them to come and justify their lies. Thank you.
Thank you, Fire Elvis TAYONG. Professor Mark, we are actually coming to the end of this program. Where do we go from here after this ENAM saga? As the elite still maintains lives, is there a time for reconstitution of elite, redefinition of who an elite is in Cameroon?
Practically, most of the times what we give as definitions for elite is not what an elite is, because elites are not government officials. If somebody is a government official, it doesn't make the person an elite. Elites are those who are working for the people, recognized by the people, and accepted by the people. Those are the people who are elites. And I don't think most of those guys in the government of Cameroon are elites per se by the people of Cameroon. And we cannot actually recognize anything that they have been able to do for the people. So we keep such persons aside because they do not make the class of elites that our people deserve. And I would say, in order to solve that issue, I will still come back to my point. Cameroon cannot be a nation where we are struggling to build and make unity, and we believe that by unity we can stand. We allow an individual to tamper with such unity by going against the balanced nature of things, taking 76% from a particular region and giving 24 to the rest 8 regions of the nation. That is no regional balance. And such a person, as I said, needs to be sacked from power, or he should resign. And apart from that, everyone who is close to him not talking, I mean the parliamentarians and others, they too should go along with resignation.
Thank you for coming, Derrick.
Thank you very much, JAVIS. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful program, and to the Yaoundé regime and the elites that they are called. You can't be in Yaoundé and don't know the reality of the ground, and you represent me somewhere. And to the government of Cameroon, Cameroon is already standing on a sinking sandy ground. And if you will allow other things, other crises to meet the already wounded crisis situation, politicians will come on the background to make sure that things are torpedoed, and then the Yaoundé regime will not have fun time.
Okay.
Please, we are tired of repeating one thing over and over, and you copy your notes and don't read. Get back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Song Derrick. Thanks for all those of you who've taken time to participate. I'll just have to take 1 or 2 minutes to read some few messages. If you want to be patriotic in Cameroon, just learn how to say yes to every action the government implement. Those who go against are considered non-patriotic. It's come from Christian in Mutengene. This one reads, he says, greetings, Cameroon is sick. Corruption is the motto of our country. We should pray for our country and let those who can talk permit Piccolo and let those who can talk be permitted. It's coming from Piccolo Money from Yaoundé. And this oral read, it says, good afternoon to you in the studio. I think it's a nice program. This oral read, it says, good afternoon. ENAM result has proven that the people of North and Southwest region have no voice in this country. When it concerns institutions in the South and Northwest regional balance must be applied. Example for Professor Lambi was dismissed as Vice Chancellor because he didn't apply for regional balance. He did not apply to regional balance in the medical exam result. Shame to the so-called elite. This oral read, it says, good afternoon to you in the studio. It's a nice program. Keep it up. I am Clinton from Mutengene. Corruption is the only way out of the government. Thank you very much. Because of time constraint, we may not be able to read this. I read just this last one. Good afternoon, House of Commons. The government is at the verge of collapse, and as Cameroonian youths, we must fight to keep our future safe for simply jumping out of the sinking boat. Thank you very much to all those who took our time to participate. Thank you for coming, TAYONG.
It's my pleasure. We will always be there, God being our helper.
Of course, thank you very much for coming, Song Derrick.
Thank you for the trust you put in me, and thanks for the million viewers of My Media Prime who always take out their time to make sure they are glued to their TV sets.
Professor Mark, thank you for coming.
Thank you too very much for the opportunity given me to make sure we educate Cameroonians on issues concerning Cameroon. And we say every one of you stay connected to My Media.
Every Sunday at exactly 12 to 1:30 p.m. is a program we bring to you, House of Commons, and rebroadcast of this same program comes up today at exactly 11 p.m. We have a rebroadcast of this program. Tomorrow at exactly 1:30 we have a rebroadcast of this program. Fresh edition comes up every Sunday where we bring you matters that matters in House of Commons. And today's edition, we've been looking at two motions. We looked at the issue of telephone tax, and we looked at the issue of the recent release ENAM results. I leave you with this: no matter the matter, what matter is your matter. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. And what should matter for you is that the truth is God. You can only kill the teller and not the truth. When you kill the teller, the truth remains to haunt you. Courage, brothers and sisters, do not stumble. My name is JAVIS from the town of Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. Bye-bye.